In this unit we're going to take a detailed look at tags within Revit. Now so far in the course we have come across tags specifically in the units on doors, walls and also rooms. But now we're going to take a more detailed look at their use. So I just want to start the unit with going over the main concept of what a tag is and how it works in Revit, and then we'll take a more detailed look at exactly how to use them, how to apply them to elements and so forth. So you may recall from, say, the previous units, doors, windows, rooms, that a tag can be thought of as a link between the data in a particular element and being able to display it on your sheets and on your views. Another way to think of it maybe is a viewport into the data contained within an element. So on screen here I've got three different elements that all have associated tags. So we have a window. There is the window element. So I click on the window, you can see the properties of the 3D family itself, and that window has an associated window tag, so I can click on that tag. So it's associated with the window, but it is an element, a Revit annotation element in its own right. Now this particular window tag is displaying the window number, the window reference or the mark. So again, just go back in and select the window. So the window number or mark, as Autodesk have called it, is number 1, and the tag simply is configured in this particular instance to take whatever value is stored against that parameter and display it against that particular instance of that window type. Moving on to the door, exactly the same. There's a door there, select the door. In this instance the door mark is number 3. We could change it, let's say ID 44, internal door 44, and immediately the tag, the associated door tag, changes to display that new value. So you can see why some people think of the tags as viewports that just display certain values that it's pulling automatically from these objects. And lastly, there's a room there. We looked at rooms in the previous units of this. So again, there is the element itself, the room object, and in this case the tag is actually pulling 4 separate parameter values from the element itself. So we've got the room number, we've got the room name, and we've got 2 different areas in different units there. So the great thing about tags is that they can be customized. You can create them from scratch or you can adapt existing ones, and I'll go over briefly the concept of how that works at the end of this unit. But you can see there that you're not limited to just pulling one parameter value out of an object. You can actually pull a whole range out, so you can customize these tags to show exactly what you need to have displayed on your various views. Now we've just seen how when we change the data or some of the values of the parameters in the elements themselves, then the tag automatically updates to show that new value. That is fundamentally different from putting what I term dumb text onto your views next to elements to reference them. So for example, if I just put some text down here next to this window, I'm going to call this W12 for window 12. So I've created that window reference with just a piece of text, what I call dumb text, and I call it dumb text with the greatest respect because it's totally isolated as an element. It has no relationship apart from the one in our mind where we are using that as a reference to tell someone what that window is. In terms of the database in your project, there is no relationship between that floating bit of text, which just happens to be close to this element, and the element itself. That is fundamentally different from the use of tags, which, as we've just seen, pull live data at any time out of the elements themselves. So if we were in another plan view or an elevation view where we could see this window and we were to select the window and change its reference, then every view which had a tag against that particular window, that reference would update automatically. If you go around and you start referencing your elements, i.e. let's say doors, windows, you put room names on, you put areas on, all using dumb text, then that's going to be your responsibility to make sure that those references stay coordinated and stay up to date. So if you have a number of people working on the model and room names are updated in a schedule or window references, someone's going to have to go around and make sure all these are changed and coordinated. So in that respect, you're no better off than how you do this in AutoCAD. In Revit, the tag system works really well, and I would strongly encourage you to tag or make use of tags wherever possible to display the information that you need on your views, and use tags to pull that data out of the object. So rather than you going around and labeling up your views, your elevations, your sections, your callouts with text notes as you would in AutoCAD, create your model and then store that data at object level. It can be in the walls, could be the windows, doors, for example, rooms. Embed all that pertinent data at object level, then use tags, and you may have to create or customize tags to pull out the data you need, but then very quickly you can tag your elements and have that information displayed automatically, and more importantly, have that adjust automatically should you make changes to those elements. Now there are some elements in Revit that can have tags created for them at the same time that they're placed into the model. Doors, windows and rooms are all good examples where you can tag on placement, and I'll show you that in a second. Other elements such as furniture, for example, you can't tag at the same time that you put them in. However, you can very easily go and tag those elements once they are in the model, and again I will show you that slightly later on in the unit. So for now, let's look at the tag on placement. So let's go to door, for example, hit the door command, and there at the end of the ribbon is tag on placement. Remember, it is switched on when it's highlighted in blue. If I just click on it, it goes clear or goes to white, so it's not active. A tag will not be created when a new door is now being created. Let's go and turn that back on for a second and go and hover over a wall, click to place a door, and you can see a door goes in and a separate but associated tag gets created. This tag is displaying the door mark or door number, and there's an example where Revit has followed the numbering convention, so ID 45. Just check on your options bar, you do have some options there for tags and whether you want a leader associated. So let's now tick that and put another door down, and now we get a door with an associated tag with a leader. So hit modify to come out of there, and we can now move that tag to where we want, and there is the associated leader. So what happens if we didn't use the tag on placement option? So we've gone and created our model, we've added our elements in, our doors, our windows, our rooms, for example. We didn't tag on placement, but now we've decided in this particular plan, for example, we need all the door numbers. Well, we can go and add tags to our elements retrospectively. To do so, you need to switch to the annotate menu. So up at the top, switch to annotate, and you have a whole panel here dedicated to tagging. So I'm going to show you tag by category now. So go ahead and click that, and all we do now is hover over our elements. As we hover over the model, Revit will automatically detect the category of element we are close to and select an appropriate tag. Now, the thing to note here is that each category of element has its own tag. So doors need a door tag, windows need a window tag, and so forth. It's not as if there's just one Revit tag for all sorts of elements. Each different type of element or each category of element has its own associated type of tag. and Revit can detect that obviously because it knows what type of element you're close to. So you can see there if I'm near a door, it's going to use a door tag, a wall tag, and so forth. Just check the options bar before you start adding tags. Do you want a leader? There's a tick box. I'm going to untick that. So now I can just hover over and click on my doors, for example, the ones that I want tagged, and you can see there the tags are being added. Just note that it's not creating these door numbers now. The door numbers always existed, or they existed at the time the door went in. All that's being added is a tag to pull that value out, and we can see how that works. Let me just cancel out the tag command now. Let's select that door, the door itself, and we can see there the door mark, the door number if you like, is number 10. So let's go and tag by category, click on it, and now we've added a tag which is just displaying that value we saw embedded at the object level. We've just seen how we can use the tag by category tool to go around and retrospectively add tags to our elements. You can imagine that can get quite laborious and time consuming if you've got a large model with, let's say, a lot of doors on a floor plan. Thankfully there is another button there, another tool, Tag All, which allows us to tag categories all in one go in a particular view. So let's look at that now. So I've taken the tags off that we've just previously applied, so we can start again. So let's go and tag all these doors in one hit in this floor plan. So select Tag All. Remember, this is on the Annotate menu. Annotate, the Tag panel, Tag All. You'll get this box come up here called Tag All Not Tagged. Now, all the objects in the current view. The trick is here to decide what category of object you want tagging. We're going to do doors, so just make sure that is highlighted. So just click somewhere, left or right, to highlight a line of the category that you want tagging. So we want to create tags for all the doors. We don't want leaders, so I'm going to leave that unticked, and I'll just move that to one side so you can actually see this take effect when I hit apply. And a little bit small there, but I'll zoom in now. Hit OK to close the box down. So all the doors in this current view have had tags created for them and are now displaying their respective door numbers. Just like any other element in Revit, you can control the visibility of your tags on a per view basis. So if I go ahead and hit VV or VG on the keyboard, it takes you to the same place, which is the visibility and graphic override panel. You'll recall this from an earlier unit. This is where you have lists of categories split into groups, model categories, annotation categories, etc. And you can control whether these categories are shown or not, and in some cases how they're actually displayed. Now, we said that tags are an annotation, so we need to switch to the second tab for annotation categories. And if we have a look slowly down the list, you'll see that the vast majority of these categories are in fact tag categories. So for example, we've got duct insulation tags, duct lining tags, duct tags. So you recall earlier in the unit where I said each different type of element, each category of model element has to have its own dedicated corresponding tag category, and you can clearly see that there's a separate annotation category for all these different types of tags. If, for example, we don't need the door tags displayed in this particular view, we can turn them off, or we could just simply delete them out of this view. But for now, just to show you how that works, I'm just going to untick the door tag category, hit apply, hit OK, and that particular category of tag, i.e. the door tags, are now hidden in this view. I mentioned earlier in the unit how tags have the ability to pull any of the data from its associated category. That includes both instance parameters and type parameters. So if we take this door, for example, that I've got selected here, These are the instance parameters. Remember, the values in here can change from door to door. They're door specific, if you like. And then if I hit edit type, we have a range of other parameters that are common to all doors of that particular type. So all these parameters that you see listed here, and some of them have values in, some don't, but all these different parameters can be accessed via tags if you configure them correctly. I just want to show you the principle of how that works now. So if I take this particular door tag, so it is a component family, it's a loadable family, it's not a system family as such, so you can save it outside of the project with a .rfa file extension. But the family itself, the tag family, has a number of types embedded into it. So this particular one can display just the number with a box around it. It can display just the number or the number and the fire rating. So if I switch to number and rating, there we have the door number and FD30, fire door 30 minutes. If I go back and select that door again, we can see that one piece of data, the door number, is an instance parameter, so it's at this top level. But the fire rating is common to all doors of that type, so it's buried down in the type parameters. So if we go down here for fire rating, so that is where the tag is pulling that value from a type parameter. So let's go and just add another bit of information to that tag, just to show you it's relatively easy to adjust these. Just going to move that tag up a little bit. So let's say we want to display on this particular plan the door number, the fire rating, and also the overall height, the head height of the door. Now we know that the head height is a parameter, it's an instance parameter, so we've got the data in the object. We just need to configure the tag to pull that data out and display it. So go ahead and select the tag. Because it is a loadable family, you get the edit family button. I'm going to go ahead and click that. That just temporarily puts us into the family editor. The project is parked at the back just temporarily. So here is our door tag family in its raw form, and these are called labels. Now these labels are, if you like, the conduit, the link between the data in the category and the display of that data on the view. So what we need to do is add another label to show that additional piece of information. So I'm going to go up, hit label. I now click where I want that label to be. Now I have a choice here of all the categories or all the parameters in that particular category. Remember, we said each category of element has its own tag family, tag category. So the list of available fields here is only applicable to the door category. So we want head height. So let's go and add that label in. Add it in there. Hit OK. Just going to tidy that position up. So I've added my additional label, which is going to pull that particular parameter value out and display it in the tag. Now I need to load this amended tag back into the project environment. Load into project. I want to overwrite the existing version of those tags and its parameter values. And there we have it. So a little bit of formatting to tidy up in terms of alignment, but the principle is sound, and you can see it works there. It is pulling that value 2110 in this case from the door and displaying it on the tag. So I go in there, we can change that height to, let's say, 3 meters, very tall door, and it updates there. But of course that value is actually driving the geometry, so if we went to look at that door in elevation, it would actually be now 3 meters high. So hopefully now you can start to see the real power of Revit in its ability to store lots of different pertinent information about all these different objects that make up your design, and then very quickly pull that info out and display it on your views.
And that completes this unit. To get the most out of this training material, please take the complete course online at bimscape.com. Here you will find a complete learning management system that allows you to work through the course at your own pace. Comprehensive written tutorials provide additional information to that found in the training videos. Mark each unit as complete as you finish it and move on to the next. At any point you can return to any of the units you have previously completed to go over the material again. If you'd like to take this course online, please visit www.bimscape.com/Revit for details.